evening, everybody. This is our regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board. Today's Tuesday, July 5th. Happy Independence Day past. Although we are having fireworks tonight. I've just got a text. It's 6:31 and we're going to say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, roll call, Randy?
Okay, trustee LaRue,
Here.
trustee Winslow,
Present.
trustee Everson,
Here?
trustee Marks,
Present.
treasurer Johnson,
Here.
clerk Rattari is here, and supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is manager Kangas and our attorney Roger Zappa.
A quiet night. Everybody's waiting for the Okay, any public comment emails?
I have none.
Okay, and we have no public here with us. So we'll hit the consent agenda, which tonight includes approval of work session and regular meeting minutes of June 21st, 2022. Excuse me. We have bills payable in the amount of $121,902.70. We have no other committees reports. We have Marquette County Solid Waste Management Authority draft meeting minutes of 6/15/22. That was a pretty interesting meeting. I'm not aware of any conflicts of interest at this meeting, so we just need approval.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We just need the rest of the agenda unless someone has any changes.
I'll move to approve the regular agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We don't have any privileged comment. How about community linkage? I have a few things to share. Is anybody hearing from the public? Randy?
I got an email last night, or actually was it late last night? A gentleman was unhappy with the fireworks in the community going off late at night and wanted to know if we had a noise ordinance. And I replied back to him and copied the supervisor and the manager. I sent a copy of our noise ordinance to him, and I sent a copy of the link to the state fireworks law to him also. And basically, for the residents out there, there isn't really much we can do because the state fireworks law supersedes our ordinance. And basically, they can blow fireworks off till 10, I think, is it 11:45 at night? That's what the state law says. And if it's becoming a problem in your neighborhood, all I can advise you to do is call the police, call the sheriff's office if you're in the township, and file a complaint. That's all we can do, unfortunately.
So that's private people.
Private
setting off
people,
fireworks,
private people.
Not on the fourth.
Lynn,
Sir?
it might be a good idea to put in our July statement about fireworks and the law and stuff like that in bigger letters so people know about it. You know,
Good, but that's already out.
I know.
We can put it in August.
Well, yeah, just put it for next year.
Oh, next year.
Yeah,
Okay,
because it should be in there every year because they'll forget.
sure. That makes sense. Ernie?
I have to go with what Randy said, that right behind me, there had some early booms going off last night, about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And they were loud.
It's hard to figure out how you would inform everybody too.
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
don't know. It's the same thing in Big Bay.
I was just hoping it would rain. It would stop.
Now
Sure
Six
they'll
just
be out
said
there again tonight.
they're having the boat parade.
In the fog?
I just got it on my phone. I suppose they've paid somebody to be here with, whatever that costs in the city. And they stayed an extra day, and now they need to go home, or I don't know. Hard to say. But
I won't say anything.
Try to be nice there.
Anything else to share? Okay. There was recent article in the paper stating that the city of Marquette has by now has done a millage increase, and trustee Winslow suggested that maybe this would be a good opportunity to remind the public that that's for the city of Marquette, not Marquette Township, because people see Marquette and they don't make that distinction always, you know. So we just wanted to kind of reiterate that that's a city millage increase, not the Marquette Township increase. Right? Sorry.
No.
On that area, that my granddaughter and her boyfriend have an apartment over in the city, and they got a notice for a $10 increase for the year from that. Right after that was passed, they got another notice for another $20 increase. So $30 increase in that. So part of it, I'm sure, had to do with the millage increase in that. Apartment rental, yeah.
Linda?
Can someone explain how millage increases happen in charter townships?
That would probably be, Roger would be the best to make sure it's absolutely right.
Well, you can't just assess, you basically have an election. And the election, the cap, there's a cap on just how many mills can be assessed in a charter township. And then there are also specific millages, like the fire millage and the police millage, that are separate from the cap. Well, there are two caps on how many mills a charter township can assess, and then there's a cap on the total mills that an entity can assess. But generally, those need to be put in place by an election. And if there's a new millage, any ballot language has to specifically state that it's not a renewal, but it is a new millage. So anytime the public in a charter township is asked for a millage, it'll specify in the ballot whether it's a renewal or a new millage. And keeping in mind that every year, regardless of whether it's a charter township or not, that the millages decrease, even if it started out as being 2 mills. Those millages get decreased by, under the Headley Amendment, and actually go down correspondingly by a small percentage every year.
So what you're saying, help me here, is that this township board cannot increase the millage without a vote of the voters. So people shouldn't worry that we're going to increase your millage for the township.
Right.
Because that was the question that I received from the person, saying, well, now that the city has increased the millage by a vote of the city commission, that now I suppose the township will do that. And I said, no, charter townships cannot do that. So I just needed validation that what I said was true, and I think people need to realize that's how it works in charter townships.
Townships and cities are different.
Very different.
John?
There's a couple of things that are probably worth talking about as segues of the conversation that we're currently having, and that is, number one, the DDA can levy up to 2 mills without a vote of anybody, and they did. Not the full 2 mills, it was, I believe, a half a mill for 2 years to fund a project in the DDA itself, and it's only to the properties in the DDA district. What I should also mention is 2 years ago, the township passed a 2 mil rec millage for 2 years. That has, both of those annual collections have occurred now, if I remember correctly. I don't believe we're proposing to renew that this year because we haven't expended the entire amount yet. We think we can probably go a couple more years before we'd have to consider it again. We're not fully into the budget process yet, but that's likely the case, meaning taxes would actually go down in the township this year beyond just the Headley rollbacks. So we're probably in exactly the opposite position of the city as far as that goes currently.
Does the city, Roger, can they do up to 2 mills like the DDA without, is that what they did? Because it was under 2 mills, or? do you
No,
know?
they are, there's a completely different set of state law that applies to a city versus a township.
Because the DDA is a lot like a city, and that's why I wondered if they were this, that similar.
The DDA, and there is a downtown development authority in the city, but I'm not necessarily acquainted on how their DDA works. Manager Kangas is correct that under the statute that our DDA is organized under, there are limited purposes for which millage can be assessed up to 2 mills, and we have done that a number of times. People who've been around this table for a while might also recall that Marquette Township had a tax incremental finance authority in its DDA district that we put in place in, I believe, 1988. And that went on through the 1990s and was extended until, I want to say, 2002. And that was another revenue-raising mechanism for the township, but that has also long since expired. I want to say close to 20 years ago now, and there has never been any discussion to re-implement that in Marquette Township. And part of that is because the state law governing tax incremental financing authorities has changed. So there isn't the same benefit. And just very briefly, what that is the taxes get capped in a sense at a certain level, and the township is able to capture the increases on what's assessed for specific purposes. Again, that's something that is not in place and is not being contemplated and will likely never be contemplated in Marquette Township again with the state law changes.
So just so people are clear, most of us do not live in the DDA, Downtown Development Authority. Okay, so that there's a small number of residents that may reside in that authority,
There's a small handful.
a handful, but for most of you out there, you do not meet the criteria to be taxed that 2 mills in the DDA district. So that's how it goes.
And if anyone is interested, there's a map that depicts the exact boundaries of the DDA district, and that was modified slightly within the last 5 to 6 years, but that is primarily consisting of your business district. And part of the rationale of implementing, I think it was just a half a mill, a small millage, was because of the revenue loss from the tax tribunal cases and so forth generated in the commercial districts, that was a little bit of an offset to help, to offset the revenue loss. But the DDA district is primarily commercial and a business district. There are a couple of apartment units and a couple of residences, but they are very few, because if at any time, if it goes over 100 people, other things happen that aren't relevant to our discussion.
Well, some of that DDA money went to the study that was done at the corridor too, if I'm not mistaken. 40-some thousand was collected, or 50, and we spent 42 or whatever. But Parsons, Brinkhoff?
Brinkerhoff.
That was good. All right, and speaking of the financials, we just got our, Gaybridge and Company did our audit, and it was filed at the end of June, which is what the deadline was, and if everything looks good, as far as the last I know. I tried to check on the letter for the opposition to the sand and gravel mining bills did go out, as the board requested. Only Debbie Stabenow's office did not respond back to me when I asked for an email or a way to get it. I could have snail mailed it, but I sent everybody else, copy of the letter by email, and they all responded. I did ask, well, that's not, personally, we had, my husband had an opportunity to go up to North Country Disposal, and he just wanted the board to know that they are extremely beneficial, or professional, and extremely well organized and very clean, and an excellent business. We didn't know anything about them. We brought some stuff. He brought it up there. We didn't know, you know, how it wasn't the first Wednesday, so he wasn't sure how we had to pay or what had to happen from our remodel, and he was just so impressed with them, and he wanted me to share that.
12 cents a pound.
Yeah.
Been there a few times.
But they
They are very professional.
They were on the ball. He said it was just so clean and so well organized. He was really impressed. So I did want to share that. I came across, some of you might remember that I was typing up the motions. Randy had an Excel spreadsheet that we put together a few years ago, and it's just a copy of all the motions from now back. And in 2012, the board made a motion in January to set a limit on meetings to 2 hours. And if you kind of remember, or whoever was here, we had a lot going on. We were trying to do the building. We had a lawsuit in place or getting going, and we had budget discussions, and we had union negotiations, and we were here till 10:30 almost every night, or every meeting, plus special meetings too. So anyway, board said that's enough, 2 hours was it, and we started taking some of the items and putting them on next agendas, and we kind of kept moving them along. So in June, we made it 2.5 hours, and put the limit on there. And as far as I could see from then till now, that hasn't changed. So just for your information, just because I found it, I wanted to make sure you were aware that we have a 2.5 hour limit on our meetings.
Your recess.
Perfect. Perfect.
If you want to leave it or change it, that's up to you, but
By 9 o'clock, we should be out
we
of
should be
here.
out of here. So since
Could
it
have a
was 10 years
recess in between
ago,
there.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that it's still in place.
Well, I guess my comment is if you have to extend the meeting, you can.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
and we did that many,
There's
many
always a
times.
motion had to be brought up and then,
Correct.
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
That hasn't, I don't
Happened
think.
once in 2016. I didn't look to see who made the motion to extend the meeting 15 minutes or something. We were doing a lot of extensions to add 10 more minutes, to take a break. We'd take a break at 9 o'clock, because the meetings were from 7 to 9. We hadn't changed to 6:30 yet. So I just wanted to let you know that that's still in place. So 9 o'clock, you know, right now is our limit. We won't hit that tonight.
We figure 7 o'clock tonight, we should be able to get
We
out of here.
should.
With
Let's
this
keep
agenda.
going. That's all I have.
Linda doesn't have any more questions.
Don't
I'm
bet
gonna
on it.
pass this around. John and I got this today. John got it for the staff, and I got it for the board. It was addressed to the board. So if you're interested, let's start it down here. Write the information down. If you don't care, then don't worry about it. But at least I could say I gave you the invitation. So, 8A is to authorize the township clerk to be the backup payroll position for the assistant clerk. Randy, do you want to explain what you're?
Yeah, so basically the background is the assistant clerk accounting position needs a backup for the payroll processing, and myself would be trained to do that in case that need comes about. So the salary would be $30 an hour above and beyond what I get, and that's in line with the deputy treasurer's salary for the work that he does. And the reason why I have to bring this to you is because it's above and beyond what my position does, and the board has to authorize that. And the manager checked with the auditors, as long as I'm not signing my own check, which I won't be doing, we're okay in this. And it gives the accountant, assistant clerk more flexibility too, if she wants to And I don't know why we didn't do this with my previous assistant clerk accountant, because it gives, if that person, and they're not gonna be gone every month, but if for some reason they're on vacation, they're not tied to that 2-week time frame of payroll. So I think this is a great move for that staff member to at least get a chance during the year to get at least a vacation and not be tied to that 2-week schedule, so. And like I said, I might be doing it a couple times a year if needed, so I think it's warranted.
Okay, John?
Move to authorize the township clerk to do the payroll in case of the absence of the assistant clerk accountant, and the salary would be $30 an hour.
Support.
Okay. Ernie?
That will be over and above the dollars that are there, so it will not be rolled into that.
No, it's over and above what my salary is a month, so if I put 2 hours in, I'll have $60 more, minus the taxes and stuff.
Okay. The only reason I say that, because when we roll that in, then that becomes fixed.
Correct.
I've seen that happen in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Planning Commission, Linda, what's happening?
They did not meet last time. The next meeting will be next Wednesday.
You have, public hearings, you had, next Wednesday?
I think they moved that forward.
I
Yeah.
think so too. Okay. What's happening on roads, anything?
We did not have enough quorum for a meeting. One was out of town, the other one had to work, and so two of us sat there and we discussed a couple of things and just just suggestions and bring it up at our next meeting.
Okay,
We changed our meeting till 3:30. It seemed to be working out good for our chief, and the other person was working, so
okay.
should work out all right.
If I may,
Mm.
Pete has done a really good job of convincing me to move on from my plan to disband that committee.
You don't have to say that because I got your evaluation here.
Well, Peter, turn your microphone on too.
Okay, they didn't hear that, so.
Okay, events, we did the Father Day car show, and the next is August, right?
No, Father,
Yeah, community day.
yeah, Community Days.
August.
You all got a copy of it?
6th.
I got some out in the public already, and so that's what I'll be doing, so. Come and enjoy yourself, bring your lawn chairs, your water, your pop, Kool-Aid, whatever. And, it's gonna be a great time again. And they can buy it there, excuse me. We're gonna have Super One there with hot dogs, brats, and whatever thing else they got. They do always a great job. Burgers. No cookies? But yeah, you can buy everything right at the chips, water and pop, buy it right at the place there. But bring a chair to sit down. That's the main thing. Enjoy the music. We got good music coming up. 3 different bands, Diversion, the Reveals, and the Maynards. You have kids parking in, softball all day, excuse me. I don't know why I didn't look at this before, no. Baseball, softball all day long. I don't know how many games they're gonna have. I know he's working on that. The Alzheimer's asked me about it, and so I'm just gonna turn it over to him, and he does what he wants with it. What else can I say? The kids will be playing in the park. We have a great little kiddie park there. They can enjoy themselves. And so I'm looking forward to having a good time. The sheriff's department will be there, the vehicle tour, search and rescue. The fire truck will be there for on display, and the ambulance. Hope we don't have to use it there. But it'll all be there. You can look at it and see what they look like, and you can just remember to stay out of it. So I just think it's going to be, they're going to be food all day long, music all day long till 10 o'clock at night. I think it's from 2 to 10 or 10, 2 to 10 or something like that. But it's going to be a great time.
Pete, can they bring alcohol in or not?
Yeah, I guess so, I don't know.
They're not selling alcohol.
We're not selling alcohol,
I think
but they can't get unruly or something because the sheriff's department's gonna be there all day. So,
I think usually, and we probably have to do that next meeting, I think we usually waive the alcohol prohibition for that day there. I
yeah, we
think.
did.
That we'd have to do that at the next meeting. But
Well, one year for sure, I remember we sold it, but I've had people ask me that already. Can we bring our booze?
We did it 1 year, I know our Lions Club did it for 1 year, or 2 years, I forget now. But,
Okay. Sounds
and then
good.
the next one will be in November. Tree lighting and Santa Claus.
Let's not think about that yet. We haven't had summer.
The events committee is thinking about it, though.
I know.
Oh,
We have no public, so we have no public comment. Any announcements? Anybody wants to share anything?
I have a few, Lynn.
Okay, Randy.
Okay, so today, most of you should have got your new voter ID cards in the mail. If not, they should be here in the next few days. We've got several calls in the office. Why am I getting that voter ID card? What's the story with that? Well, the story with that is we changed county commission districts. So the whole township is now in District 3. So by law, I have to send everyone a new voter ID card because we used to be District 1 and 2, so that's no longer in place. So we all vote for the same county commissioner now in District 3. So that's why I had to send them. That doesn't stop you from getting an absentee ballot or voting in person or anything. People are really they didn't understand what was going on because of that voter ID cards. It's just stating that we are now all in District 3 for county commissioner. Me and my staff are getting out absentee ballots as we get the applications in. As of today, we have 477 ballots out. So almost out of 1249, we got 500 out. So almost half of our ballots are out. So that's pretty good. And I get about 20 a day, so we try to do them, get them in and out the same day if we can. Saturday, July 30th, the Township Hall will be open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to receive or give out absentee ballots or register to vote that day. So we're here for 8 hours that Saturday. Kim will be here for part of the day, and I'll be here for part of the day. So there'll be someone here. Friday, July 29th, end of business is a Friday, is the last day that we can actually mail out absentee ballots. And Monday, August 1 at 10 a.m. is the date that if you want to change your absentee ballot, you have till 10 a.m. the previous day of the election. So August 1 at 10 a.m. if you want to change your ballot, you have that, you can come and do it. And at 4 p.m. that day is the last time we can give out an absentee ballot, and it has to stay in the building. You have to fill it out there and then give it back that day. And then Tuesday, August 2nd is the primary election. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night. And it's a primary election, so the folks have to remember that you have to stay in your, I call it stay in your lane. So if you vote on the Democratic side, you can't move over to the Republican side, or that's going to void your ballot. And hopefully this year it's not very big, so hopefully that won't happen to too many voters. But if you do that, the only part that is not valid is just that section. If you vote on the Iron Ore Heritage Trail renewal, that's still in play. So, but that's the way that goes. And I guess with that, I'll take any questions from the board about any of that.
So then, excuse me, July 21st, I believe, is the deadline for the position open on the board, November 20th.
Correct. The July 21st at 4 PM is the last, you have to submit your petition for nonpartisan position for the township board position that is up in November. And I do have the materials in the office for anyone that would like to take one out.
Okay. Any questions for Randy? Any other announcements? Okay, managers report.
There's 2 items in my written report this week. Only one of them I think is really worth discussing publicly at this point, and that's the pension annual actuarial valuation. Kind of a tongue twister, say that 3 times fast. I couldn't say it once fast. The good news is our funded ratio is actually improving. Over 2020, when we were 75%, we're now at 83%, so we're heading in the right direction. That, of course, was before our economy decided to do this roller coaster that we're currently on, so we'll see where the 2022 numbers come in next year. That's still a big deal, though. Our monthly amortization payment for 2023 is actually going down slightly. It was $15,623 this year, and it will be going down to $13,848. And of course, that's totally dependent on our employee roster. So if we have an employee change, that number will change as well. We haven't even had a consistent monthly payment this year, because we've had staff changes. So the good news is our funded ratio is improving and our monthly payments are decreasing next year. So that's really the highlights of this report. And it's been kind of quiet. I feel like the floodgates are about to open back up here now that we've been through the Independence Day holiday. We'll see what happens next. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you swing reading all of our motions?
I think I can this evening. First motion was consent agenda, that was approved as presented. Second motion was approval of the regular agenda, that was approved as presented. And the third motion was to authorize the township clerk to be the backup payroll position, and that was approved.
I don't think I have anything so far for the next agenda.
The only thing that's come across my desk is we have MTA dues, which I'll put on the next agenda. We should probably look into waiving the township policy on alcohol for Community Day. That should be on the next agenda, because I know we've done it in the past, just for that day. And the township manager's evaluations have been given out to the board, and I've gotten some back, so that's due actually by July 30th. But if you get it back to me earlier, I'll do that earlier. So we just have to get done by September, which we're way ahead of the game, but that's fine.
Okay. Any other comments? Ernie?
I just, for Roger, the status on the Lost Creek?
As I indicated at the last report, our next step is to put together a lawsuit. That's in the works. It's in progress. It's not complete at this
Okay,
point.
that's all.
Yep.
And the only other thing I'd have, Lynn, is we sold the truck on bids for $47,01. So we got more than the minimum for that. And it was picked up today.
So that money goes back into the
Public
Public
Works,
Works
yeah.
budget for, against their truck, they bought trucks. Any other comments? Any other comments down on that end?
Linda?
Oh, I have one.
Oh, Linda.
I think for people who are interested, the governor reached and signed a budget deal for 2023. So It looks like they have some money in there for local governments. So we'll want to be on the watch to see what that is. And there's also money to replace the Jacobetti facility. So we need to know that because it may be that they would be looking for some place to put that.
I think there's a D before M in the vocabulary. Detroit, then Marquette's way down the list.
No, it's our Jacobetti facility.
Oh, our
He-
Jacob.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant.
Oh, no, it's
The government.
ours. No, the one in Marquette. So,
Yeah, but did they pay taxes?
No.
no, they don't.
Just saying.
Lots of places don't pay taxes, and we still welcome them into our township.
Brings a lot of jobs, though.
Brings jobs,
Young
it
people.
brings shoppers, it brings different things, and, you know, just a heads up. And granted, our state has quite a bit of money that hasn't been appropriated to anything yet. So there's still lots of conversations going on out there.
Three hands up. I thought your hand was up first before.
Just kind of an announcement. Being the treasurer, when someone takes their land out of, I don't know what you want to call it, puts it back on a tax roll, it now becomes taxable money. 177 acres was taken out and put back on the tax roll, and I'm sure that's over in north of here somewhere. And then I can't tell you exactly where it was at. But they're moving forward, I think, with that development of some type, I'm not sure.
That was taken out of the Certified Forest Act. So the revenue changes significantly.
Yes, we got a check for $21,000 for their cost of bringing it back into on the properties in it. But now, that sounds good. Now we gotta break it apart and send it to all entities. So how much we end up with is not that 21,000, so we have to do the breakdown. But in the future, that will be taxable property.
Guys, you both had your hand up at the same time.
Put it in now, John.
I know we all have a lot to be grateful for. And I just will share with you something I was thinking about this morning. Exactly 70 years ago, I was in Korea. And I'm grateful to be here.
You are too, John.
They didn't wanna keep you over there?
With that note, I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Our next meeting is July 19th, and it's 7:09.